This video will demonstrate how to create a Blackboard Collaborate session. But first, let's talk about what Blackboard Collaborate is. Blackboard Collaborate is a tool that allows you to web conference and hold virtual meetings with your online class, a particular group of students, or individual students. This tool has many possibilities for your class, no matter if you are teaching it in a face-to-face, hybrid, or online environment. Now, let's take a look at where you can find Blackboard Collaborate in your course shells. Navigate to the Course menu, and under the heading Course Management, click on Course Tools, then Blackboard Collaborate. You should now see this on your screen. One of the first things you will need to do is to create a session for your students to virtually attend. To do this, click on Create Session. After you click this option, you should now see this menu on the right-hand side of your screen. First, let's give your session a name. You will notice after you input the session name that a box pops up for anonymous dial-in. We will come back to this feature a little bit later in this video. Next, input the start dates, and start times and end times. Next, you will notice two different options: No End Open Session and Repeat Session. If you click on the No End Open Session option, you will notice that the end date and end time are grayed out. You can use this feature if you are unsure how long your session might last. However, it is recommended to include an end time since your students might be juggling work schedules or other outside obligations. You also have the option to repeat your session. Your session can be repeated daily, weekly, or monthly, and can also be repeated a certain number of times, anywhere from every 2 days to every 10 days if you choose daily, every 2 to 10 weeks if you choose weekly, or every 2 to 10 months if you choose monthly. You can choose to end the frequency of your virtually held sessions after a certain number of occurrences or after a particular date. For our purposes, we are going to schedule a one-time Collaborate session, so I will uncheck the Repeat Session option. The next area we're going to explore is called Early Entry. Early entry is highly recommended so that technical details can be worked out, such as audio and video issues, prior to the beginning of your session. A good practice is to begin your session anywhere from 15 minutes to 30 minutes prior to the beginning of your virtual session. Next, an optional description can be entered. It is recommended to enter a description if multiple sessions will be held about different topics. The next set of options we will explore will be your session settings. The first option we'll look at is the default attendee role, which will be the participants in your virtual session. For the most part, you will choose the default role for your students to be participants in the virtual session. This way, you can retain control of what content is being shared, such as your screen or other documents that are uploaded. As the person creating this session, your role will be the moderator. You can always change the role of your students during the session when you are ready for them to present content, such as them sharing their screen or uploading a document. The next set of options deals with recordings. One great feature about Blackboard Collaborate is that you have the ability to record your sessions. If you decide to record your sessions, you can also select if your students can download the recording as an audio file. I'll go over some recording options in another video. The next option allows you to anonymize chat messages. Blackboard Collaborate has a chat feature that you and your students can use throughout your virtual session. These chat sessions will also be included in the recordings. Clicking the option to anonymize the chat messages is highly recommended due to FERPA and student privacy issues. The next option applies to moderators, which is your role in the session. You have the option to select if you want to show profile pictures for only you or everyone in the virtual session. The next set of options pertains to your participants and what they can do in the virtual session. You can now allow your students to share their audio and video. This means you are giving them the option to share their audio and the video, but the choice is up to them. You can also allow students to post chat messages, which is highly recommended. If you are presenting information, this is a great way to engage your students, especially if they have questions. One strategy that I have used is to tell the participants to use the chat feature while I am presenting information, so that you don't have multiple students trying to ask questions at the same time. I can also mute their audio while I am presenting content. Then, after I am done presenting, you can unmute their audio and have conversations with them, or just keep using the chat feature. The key here is to use what works best for you and your students, but to keep them engaged with you and your content and each other. The next feature gives your students the ability to draw on the whiteboard and on files. This is another feature I will show in another video, but it is a great way to highlight and interact with content. The next option allows your students to call in for the virtual session. This is optional, but might be needed for those students that do not have access to audio or a microphone, which is when I have used this option. You will still be able to share what is on your screen, but the student calls a specific phone number and PIN that populated when you entered the session name. The last set of options concerns private chatting. As a moderator, you can always chat with your students in the main chat area. However, you also have the ability to privately chat with your students one-on-one. The options here are specific to the moderator, so you will choose which ones you would like to implement in your virtual session. Once you have verified all of your preferred settings, click on the Save button. Now you will notice that the session now appears on the list. If you do see it on the list, your session has now been created. This concludes this video about how to create your Blackboard Collaborate session.